जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। गिरिवरधारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदा नंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदा नंदन व्रज जनरंजना। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी। यशोदा नंदन व्रज जनरंजना। यशोदा नंदन व्रज जनरंजना। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जमुना तीरा वनचारी। जयो राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। राम राम हरे हरे। कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे। हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा जयो राधे श्याम जयो राधे श्याम। जय प्रभुपदा प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा। निताय गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल। निताय गौर हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल गौर हरि बोल। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुताः पदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगणा रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च। नमो ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामीति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। वंचाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So welcome all of you all for today's session. So today we are discussing this topic of from lust to love. This is actually an important topic to understand. What is lust? What is love? In today's world, if you have to sell a movie, you name it by the word love. है कि नहीं? प्रेम, प्यार, movie sells. But quite often, what is propagated in the name of prem, pyar is actually not pyar. It is more to do with lust. So the word love is a very high term. It is a very selfless term, which is quite often misunderstood with the word lust. These are two different emotions altogether. One is degrading, one is uplifting, one is entangling, one is liberating. Right? Different emotions altogether. Right? So we are going to try to understand, actually, overcome lust and try to develop that genuine, selfless, pure love. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, in our Chaitanya Charitamrita, a very important book, he explains, Hare Krishna, he explains the difference between lust and love. He says lust and love are like two metals. Lust is like iron and love is like gold. Hare Krishna. Right? Both are metals, na? Iron and gold, both are metals. But there's a big difference. Similarly, lust is like iron and actual pure love is like gold. Right? One is completely selfish. Lust means selfish. And love is actually very, very selfless and pure. So before we understand a little more about love, first we'll spend some time understanding lust, right? Because we are still in the material world, right? And this energy is like really governing the whole world. The energy of lust, kama. So we'll try to understand a little from Bhagavad Gita. This is the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Towards the ending, Arjuna has a question. Very interesting question. Arjuna says, Arjuna vacha atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purusham anichan api vasneya balad eva niyojitah. If you all are following the Gita, if you all want to, this is Bhagavad Gita, page 180, third chapter, 36th verse. So Arjuna is asking Krishna, my dear Krishna, what is that force? Think about this. What is that force that makes us do wrong things even when we don't want to? Have you experienced the force? You know it is wrong. You actually don't want to. But there is something that just pushes you and impels you to do that. Right? So Arjuna is asking, my dear Krishna, what is this force that impels us to do the wrong activity even though we don't want to do it? So Krishna says, Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Kama Esha Krodh Esha Rajoguno Samudbhava Mahashano Mahapapma Vidhi Enam Iha Verinam. So Lord Krishna says, my dear Arjuna, it is lust only, Kamesha Krodesha, it is lust only that is impelling us to do wrong things. This force that pushes us to do wrong things is called lust. And Krishna says, Mahashano, Mahapapma, and Vidhi Enam Iha Vairinam. What is lust? Krishna uses adjectives. So lust is Mahashano, greatly sinful, right? All devouring. It can devour us. And it is Vairinam. Vairinam means the greatest enemy. The greatest enemy for us is already within us. No one can harm us from outside. The enemy that can actually harm us is the anarthas within us already. And lust is considered to be one primary enemy. Right? And this is what we have to actually overcome. In our Vedic scriptures, kings are called Maharaj. Right? You have Dasharath Maharaj, you call them Maharaj. Even sannyasis are called Maharaj. You see a sannyasi, they are called Maharaj. And in a Vedic system, even kings would bow down in front of sannyasis. You know, when a sannyasi comes, when a sadhu comes, even a king falls down at his feet. Why does a king fall down? Because the king has conquered the external world, but these sadhus have conquered the internal world. Conquering the external world is easy, but conquering the inner world is actually the most difficult thing. So that is the difficult journey to make, the journey within, right? So therefore Krishna uses the word Vairinam. This is our greatest enemy. So we have to learn how to tackle this enemy and how to overcome this enemy. Only then we can be victorious. So Prabhupada in this purport, Prabhupada explains, you see, so Krishna says in this verse, Kama Esha Krodha Esha Rajo Gunat Samudbhavaha. Samudbhavaha means to be born. Kama, lust. From where it is born? It is born from the mode of passion. So in our Journey of Self-Discovery course, we discussed 3 types of modes. You shall remember? Sattvagun, Rajagun, Tamogun. Goodness, passion, ignorance. So from passion comes lust. So passion means desires. The desire to enjoy. Lust is basically the desire to gratify our senses. That is lust. Love basically means the desire to satisfy God in the highest sense. You know, in a selfless way. That is love. So Prabhupada explains here, you know, when milk, when you add certain element, sour element to the milk becomes curd. Okay? So what is lust actually? Lust is love of God transformed due to the touch of mode of passion. You understanding? Like love, pure love is like milk. Lust is like curd. When that pure love comes in touch with passion, it becomes lust. So that means, originally, in our original nature, what is our original nature? Huh? Love. But who are we originally? We discussed this we discussed in our course. We are the Atma, spirit soul. As Atma, we are all pure. Okay? So that means, originally we have pure love for God and for every living entity. See, someone who loves God naturally has compassion for everyone. Love of God translates into compassion in this world. So originally we all had pure love for God, but coming in touch with this mode of passion and in coming in touch with the material world, that contamination has come and that love has transformed into lust. That's how lust has been born. Right? So even though Prabhupada explains here, actually if milk becomes curd, very difficult to make that curd into milk. Is it possible to make curd into milk? Very difficult. So in one sense, it's actually very difficult to transform that lust back into love. Very difficult. So Prabhupada actually explains in the purport, it is better if we had retained that original love, you know, that innocence, if we had retained it, it is better. Once it is converted into lust, To bring it back to normal is very difficult. We all know people now who have wrong habits. Once you get into a wrong habit, after that coming back on track, it's quite a difficult affair. But still Prabhupada explains, if we practice the process of Krishna consciousness well, then this lust can be converted into love. That transformation can happen. You are understanding how this functions? And then Krishna says, Kama esha krodesha. So when lust is not fulfilled, what comes? Anger. So in Sanskrit, Krodha is called Kamanuj. Krodha is the younger brother of lust. So when the elder brother comes in, when Kam comes in, naturally anger also will come in. So when your lust is not fulfilled, what happens? You get angry. Okay, so now when your lust is fulfilled, what happens? If your lust is not fulfilled, you get angry. If the lust is fulfilled, what happens? No. That's what we will see here. That's the catch. That's what we think. That's the illusion of this world. We feel we'll be happy. We'll be greedy for more. Krishna explains ahead. So Krishna explains, Atam Jnanam Etena Jnanino Nitya Vairina Kama Rupena Kaunteya Dushpurena Alanena Cha. So Krishna says, when this enemy of lust enters, when it takes over our Chetana, our consciousness, it burns like fire. It burns like fire. Never satisfying. Like you have fire, you put ghee in fire. The fire will burn more or it will reduce? It will burn more. You put more ghee in it, what is going to happen? It's going to burn more. So lust is such that the more you satisfy it, the more it will burn. It will demand more and more and more. And we have n number of stories in the scriptures. You have the example of Ravan. You have heard the story of Ravan? Ravan was actually lust personified. See, there are some stories that you all can actually slowly try to understand. So one time, there is this pastime that Brahmaji, the original creator, the secondary creator, he had 4 sons called the Chatush Kumar. You have heard of this? The 4 sons of Brahma, young children? Not heard. These are called the 4 Kumaras. At the start of creation, these children were born. So one time they all go to Vaikunta. Vaikunta is the abode of Vishnu. So when they go there, there are 2 doorkeepers of Vaikunta. Their names were Jai and Vijay. So they stopped these 4 children. So the Chatush Kumars got so angry. We are going to see the Supreme Lord and you are stopping us. We curse you that you will take 3 births as demons. So 3 times these 2 brothers, these 2 doorkeepers Jai and Vijay, come as demons. In Satyuga, they come as Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. In Treta Yuga, they come as Ravan and Kumbhakarna. And in Dwapar Yuga, they come as Shishupal and Dantavakra. And these 3 demons, and these 2 demons who took 3 births, represents 6 anarthas in our heart. What are the 6 anarthas? Anarthas means unwanted things in our heart. Impurities, basically. What are the 6 anarthas? Lust, anger, pride, greed, envy, illusion. 6 things. Matsarya. Lust, anger, pride, greed, envy, illusion. These are represented by the 6 demons. Hiranyakashipu, basically Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. What is the word Hiranya? Hiranya means gold. So Hiranyaksha, he used to mine gold from the earth. I mean, he was like mad for gold. So Hiranyaksha represents greed, the anartha of greed. Hiranyakashipu was a very arrogant guy. Very arrogant. Hiranyaksha's brother, Hiranyakashipu, he announced that he is God. So arrogant, he didn't want the name of Vishnu chanted anywhere. He said, instead of chanting Om Narayanaya, everyone will chant Om Hiranyakashipaya Namaha. He changed the whole mantra. He became so arrogant. So Hiranyakashipu represents arrogance. Hiranyaksha represents greed. In the next avatar, so these 2 demons were killed by 2 avatars of Vishnu. Varahadev killed Hiranyaksha Narsimhadev killed Hiranyakashipu. Okay. So these two demons come in the next yuga, in Treta Yuga, as Ravan and Kumbhakarna. Ram Leela. These two are brothers, na? Ravan, Kumbhakarna. What was Kumbhakarna's characteristics? He would sleep. He would sleep 364 days a year. One day he would get up, eat, drink completely, and then go to sleep. Good life, no? Many people want Kumbhakarna life. Yeah, he used to just float. I mean, there would be all liquor and everything around, meat and everything. Right? Crazy guy. So that was his life basically. So Kumbhakarna represents ignorance. Sleep means ignorance. His life was ignorance, complete, lost in sleep. Ravan represents lust. Ravan, he had so many wives. So many wives, not one wife. Mandodari was the chief, but he had so many wives. Any beautiful girl he would see, he would kidnap and bring. Any princess, anywhere. He didn't care to ask that girl, nothing. Only concerned about himself. Not concerned about anyone else. So when someone becomes selfish, lusty, you don't care for other people. You see other people as commodities to be exploited. You don't see people as people. When lust comes in, you don't see anyone as people. You just see everyone as objects to satisfy you. That's all.
No respect.
No respect. Absolutely no respect. And this guy, after enjoying so many, he had like an harem of women, still not happy. If someone says like satisfying lust makes you happy, Ravan was the most miserable guy, never happy. That's why he had to kidnap Sita. Right? And after kidnapping Sita, the amount of stress that he went through, unlimited. So Krishna explains here, lust is something, it's like fire. The more you satisfy it, the more it will burn. In Bhagavatam, you have another story, very interesting story. This comes from the 9th canto of Bhagavatam. There was a king called Yayati. Have you all heard? To Shukracharya's, one of the rishis, Shukracharya, Asura's rishis, his daughter. Her name was Devyani. Right? So he got married to Devyani, and he was lost in enjoyment, completely intoxicated and lost in enjoyment. And it so happened that Devyani, when she got married and came to his palace, she came with one of her friends, Sarmishta, her name was. So one time Sarmishta went and told the king, even I want to have a child with you. So the king enjoyed with Sarmishta. So when Devyani came to know, Devyani went and complained to her father, Shukracharya. And Shukracharya cursed Yayati, may you become an old man. So Yayati immediately became old. Immediately his body became old. But Yayati, he had such a deep desire to enjoy Devyani. So he begged Shukracharya, please do something for me. I just can't stay without enjoying. So Shukracharya said, only one option for you. You can exchange your old age with some young man. You know what Yayati does? He goes and asks his son, can you exchange your youth with me? Can you imagine? He's so intoxicated with lust, he's going and asking his son. One son doesn't agree to it, but another son, Puru, actually gives. He gives his youth to Yayati and takes his old age. And Yayati, he enjoys Devyani for another unlimited numbers of years, thousands and thousands of years. He's enjoying with Devyani and still not happy. So after enjoying so much, Yayati comes to a realization. He tells one shloka in the Bhagavatam. He says, Na jatu kama kama nam upabhogena shamyati havisha krishna vartmeshu bhuya eva bivartate. So he gives the same example. Na jatu kama kama nam upabhogena shamyati. This calm lust will never be satisfied because he has experienced it completely. He's tried to enjoy so much, not satisfied. And he says that this is like pouring ghee in fire. It never works. So lust is like fire. The more you satisfy it, the more it will keep demanding and demanding and demanding, and your entire energy will get succumbed, and we will not be able to achieve anything in life. So therefore, in our Vedic culture, student life especially, one of the principles of student life was brahmacharya life. Brahmachari. Why? Because if a student gets carried away, running after girls and doing all this, you can't focus. You can't focus. So someone who is like focused, someone who wants to achieve something great in life, he follows certain principles. Someone who is like carried away by lust, he can't achieve anything in life. So even in terms of becoming, impactful in this world, this is so important, so very important. So Krishna in this way he explains that lust is like fire. The more you satisfy it, the more it will keep burning. So the next verse Krishna says, Indriyani mano buddhir asyadhishtanam uchyate eter vimoyati esha jnanam avritta dehinam. So lust, where does lust sit? So Krishna says lust stays in our senses, mind and intelligence. Just like we saw in the first verse, Krishna explains lust is like an enemy, right? So now if you have to conquer your enemy, first you have to know where the enemies are, isn't it? Like when the surgical strike happened, so before you do a strike against your enemies, you have to first know where they are situated, what their workings are. If you have not done your study, then you're going to miss out. So where is lust situated? Krishna says the lust is there in our mind, it is there in our intelligence, it is there in our senses. So Prabhupada is saying, Prabhupada explains in the purport, the enemy has captured different strategic positions, and therefore Lord Krishna is giving us a warning of those places. So just like sometimes the terrorist gang who is very active they have their spies everywhere. You may think that someone is your guy, but he actually may be the opposite guy. So similarly, lust is got so much into a system, like cancer, sometimes it spreads so much. Lust has spread throughout the system. It is there in our senses, it is there everywhere. So the lust basically, if you want to conquer lust, it basically starts from the senses. So therefore in the next verse Krishna says, Tasmat tvam indriyani ado, text 41 this is, Tasmat tvam indriyani ado niyamya bharata shriba papnanam prajahi enam jnanam vijnanam nashanam. So Krishna says, therefore in the beginning, from the very beginning, curve the symbol of sin, lust. What does the word from the very beginning mean? Two things. One is, see, we have senses, we have mind, we have intelligence. Above the senses are there, above the senses is mind, above the mind is intelligence. This is the hierarchy, right? So now, how does lust enter into the system? It enters through the senses. And which sense? Especially the eye, right? Vision. So, best is to stop at the senses level. In computer language, you have this principle called GIGO. We used to learn this. Garbage in, garbage out. That means in a computer, if you feed nonsense into the computer, that's what it's going to throw out, right? So similarly, eyes are like input devices. If we take in wrong images, those wrong images will keep getting circulated inside the system and it will mess up the system, right? It goes to the mind, it corrupts the mind, and when it goes to the intelligence, it's royally finished. When your intelligence is like captured by lust, then a person goes to any extent to fulfill his sinful desires, right? So therefore Krishna says, Tasma tvam indriyani ado. Ado means from the very beginning. From the beginning stage only, if you control, it's better. In English there's a saying, precaution is better than cure. If you can take precaution, it's better. Because the cure is difficult. The cure is actually very difficult. And second point Prabhupada explains here is, from the very beginning means from the childhood. So this training, Hare Krishna, this training should come from childhood. You understanding? a young boy who's already corrupted into so many things, then for him to take up bhakti, it's not that it's not possible, it's going to be very difficult. It's going to be very difficult. Because if someone takes it up, if there are a lot of wrong impressions, lustful impressions in the system, even when you sit to chant Hare Krishna, there's so much thing that keeps getting circulated. So therefore, Prabhupada explains from the very beginning. So this kind of education ideally should be given to children. Right from the beginning, if they are trained in the proper way, therefore brahmachari training. That's what our Gurukul system was. Children are trained in this. Boys and girls both are trained in this. So then there is good chance that the boy will go and the girl will grow into a boy and girl of good character. Right? Not wasting their life and wasting the life of others in exploitation. So in this way, Krishna explains, this is the way actually we can control lust.
Does anybody have a red car? Because there's a complaint now.
I've got a red car.
There's a red Hyundai Venue or something.
It's my
Yeah, it's parked a little bit in the middle of the.
Yes, no.
It's parked a little bit.
I think
Mine
it's
is
my
parked in the car.
345.
No, is it the first car here, the basement?
But you have parked in somebody's spot and they are really annoying. I don't do that. 345, no, yes. You are getting me in trouble. Sorry, Professor.
It's okay. So in this way, Krishna explains how one should actually deal with this enemy of lust. So Krishna tells in the next verse, Indriyani prani parani ahur indriyabhya param manaha manastu para buddhir yoto buddhe parastu sa. So Krishna explains a hierarchy. So what is the hierarchy? You have dull matter, right? Dull matter. Above the matter is the senses. Senses. Above the senses is mind. Above the mind is intelligence. And above the intelligence is Atma. We. The Atma is above the intelligence. So why is Krishna giving us this hierarchy? So Krishna is saying the lust is powerful, but you are more powerful than that. That means if we develop some conviction, some strong desire that I want to change, you can change your path. See, we have so many examples of saints who had a very sinful life. But taking up to the process of bhakti, they have all become very pure and great saints. Many examples. Many examples like this. So the point is, Krishna is saying, as Atma, we are superior to even the intelligence. So now if we work from that spiritual level, so therefore chanting Hare Krishna. When Srila Prabhupada went to America, we have been speaking about this so many times. When Srila Prabhupada went to America, he was dealing with a bunch of boys and girls who are like hippies. Hippie life is a life of lust only. Relations. They would just have free enjoyment, practically, no stoppage. So these were the candidates Prabhupada was getting. Prabhupada's initial candidate in America were these boys and girls who are like following this hippie culture. But by chanting Hare Krishna regularly, slowly they started to come to satsang and they all became pure. Even though they had so much contamination, they all became pure. The point is, the spirit soul level is a very powerful level. If you can inject this Krishna consciousness, so Prabhupada says even a late beginner, even though Prabhupada mentions that it's best to start in childhood, but Prabhupada says the process of Krishna consciousness is so powerful that even a late beginner can achieve success. So we have to embrace the process of Krishna consciousness. Krishna Bhakti is the only way we can conquer this lust. I told you, lust is represented by Ravan. Yeah, Ravan represents lust. Who conquered Ravan? Ram. No one else could kill Ravan. Only Ram. So the point is, whatever you do, you may think that tapasya will work, this will work, that will work. Nothing will work against lust. You have the story of Vishwamitra Muni. You all know the story of Vishwamitra? A little bit. So Vishwamitra Muni was actually a great king. He went on to become a great rishi. So Vishwamitra did such tapasya. In the winter, he would go to Himalayas, Gomukh. Any of you have been to Gangotri? Any of you have been to Gangotri? No? Gangotri is where Ganga originates. you go and take bath there. We had gone 2 years ago. It's so cold. So cold. You can't stand there for more than a few seconds. You freeze in that water. And generally people go to Gangotri, this Char Dham in summers. In winters you can't reach these places. Vishwamitra, in the winter 6 months, he would stand submerged in ice cold Ganga and do tapasya to control his senses. He had done a lot of sense control. But after years and years of tapasya like this, one time Apsara, there's one beautiful damsel, Menaka, who comes in front of him, gets carried away. He gets carried away. Why? Because he didn't take shelter of Ram. He was trying to control lust on his own. You understanding? Therefore he failed. So the point is, the only way we can conquer lust, and none of us are like powerful like Vishwamitra. Are we that powerful? We are not that powerful. If Vishwamitra couldn't do it, what can we do it? There's no chance for us to do it the normal way. The only way is if we take shelter of the Lord and we beg to the Lord, my dear Lord, this lust is too powerful. You please come and help me. And when Lord Ram comes in our life, when Lord Krishna comes in our life, through the form of the holy names, then only this transformation can happen. On our own, we can't do this transformation. We can't conquer lust. In our scriptures, we have the story of Haridas Thakur, Namacharya Haridas Thakur. Haridas Thakur, he used to chant every day. Literally, we chant this one mala, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It takes us 7 to 10 minutes. Haridas Thakur would chant 192 rounds. If you do a calculation, if you say 16 round takes 2 hours, if you do a calculation, 192 rounds will take you 24 hours. So Haridas Thakur will literally chant throughout the day.
Keep away from the lust.
Yeah, he would just keep chanting because not just to keep away from lust, that was the love that he had for the Lord. He had so much taste in the holy name that he would keep just chanting and chanting. So one time there was a very beautiful lady. Sorry, this is a real story, just 500 years ago. Haridas Thakur was in a place called Benapol, which is still there in Bangladesh. So Haridas was sitting in a jungle alone in front of Tulsi and chanting. So there was one landlord there. His name was Ramachandra Khan. He became envious of Haridas. And he hired a beautiful prostitute to go and allure Haridas. So this lady in the middle of the night comes to Haridas and no one is around. And she tells Haridas, let us enjoy. But Haridas had so much taste in the holy name. He was so absorbed. He is not carried away at all. And in 3 days, this lady surrendered to Haridas and she became his disciple. So the point is, where Vishwamitra failed, Haridas succeeded. Vishwamitra failed, Haridas succeeded. Because Haridas had such love for. So the only way we can actually get detached from this world, the attractions of this world are very powerful. The only way we can get away from these attractions is when we find more attraction in Krishna Bhakti. So focusing on the positive is something that's very important. Right? No one likes to say, if you keep telling the children, give up this, stop this, stop this. No child likes that language. But if you engage the child positively, you don't have to tell the child, stop these things. Krishna tells in the Gita, 2nd chapter, Param Drishtva Nivartate. When you get a higher taste, the lower taste automatically go away. So therefore, finding a higher taste in chanting Hare Krishna, reading scriptures, doing seva to Krishna, when you find these things, then naturally, slowly, these things will go. Otherwise, it's going to be very difficult to make this process. So therefore, we have many examples like this of personalities who slipped into lust, wasted their life royally because of lust. But, when someone comes to the process of bhakti, Krishna consciousness, slowly this transformation can happen. Like the story of Haridas Thakur and so many stories like this. Right? And then the last verse in this series, Krishna, very beautiful verse. Krishna says, Evam buddhe param buddhva samstabhyatmanam atmana jahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. So Krishna says, thus knowing, please hear this, thus knowing oneself, this is the last verse of the 3rd chapter, thus knowing oneself to be transcendental to the material mind, senses and intelligence, O mighty armed Arjuna, one should steady the mind by deliberate spiritual intelligence, Krishna consciousness, and thus by spiritual strength conquer this insatiable enemy known as lust. So Krishna is saying, therefore, evam buddhe param buddhva. One should understand. Buddhva means to understand. What we should understand? We have to understand that I am not this body, I am Atma. As long as we think we are this body and mind, we'll be entrapped by lust. We'll want to enjoy. As soon as we come to this platform that I am spirit soul, I am servant of Krishna, we will start to work on that level. So Krishna is saying, the only way you can overcome lust is work from the spiritual level. You can't deal with lust on a material level. You have to work from spiritual level. And then Krishna says, samstapyatmana atmana jahi shatrum mahabaho kama rupam durasadam. So when we derive spiritual strength from deliberate spiritual intelligence, what does spiritual intelligence means? Prabhupada says Krishna consciousness. What it means is, when we read scriptures, especially Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and when we hear these things, we are deriving spiritual strength from a higher source. Okay? So in this whole sequence, we have senses, above the senses mind, above the mind intelligence, above the intelligence Atma, but above the Atma is Paramatma. Okay? So when the Atma derives connections, energy from the Paramatma, then you can overcome the lower forces. Otherwise, the lower forces are very difficult to overcome on your level. So therefore, Krishna uses the word from scriptures. So therefore, coming to satsangs, hearing these pastimes are something very important. When you keep doing it on a regular basis, then the purification happens. Cheto darpana marjanam, the heart is cleaned, the mind is cleaned, and gradually that original love which transformed into lust, we saw in the beginning, that original love, because of the mode of passion was transformed into lust, it can go back into that original process. Like Prabhupada gives this example. I think we can stop with this example and then take questions. You have rainwater, now rain is there. You all can connect to this example. When the rainwater falls from the cloud, how is the rainwater? Pure. Okay? But when the rainwater hits the ground, how it becomes? Muddy. So the dirty, muddy water, is the water actually muddy? The water is not muddy. In its constitutional position, it's pure. But due to some reason, it has come here, it's become muddy. So now what is the hope for it? If you pass that water through a filtration process, that original nature will come. Similarly, all of us are spirit soul, pure. We have this pure love for God, selfless love. We are all lovers of God in our original position. But now we have forgotten that. We have become lovers of this world, usually world. Right? And how much ever you love this world is not going to reciprocate your love. Right? That's why in this world you have heartbreaks. How much ever you try, you will not find that reciprocation here. It's not possible. To some extent it's possible, it's not possible fully. So the only love that can actually satisfy us is that love of God. So somehow we have come in this world, come in contact with the contamination here, we have become dirty. So now we have to go through the filtration process. And what is the filtration process? Prabhupada is explaining again and again here, the process of bhakti. Chanting Hare Krishna, reading Gita, reading Bhagavatam, coming to satsangs, doing seva, in a very humble way. When you keep doing this, then slowly the purification happens. And then one day we'll come out in that original, crystal clear, we develop that pure love, which is actually the perfection of life. The perfection of life is to find that pure love, the treasure within all our hearts. Hare Krishna. Any questions? Any comments?
Prabhuji, yes, I have a question.
Yeah.
In this day and age, obviously we are all married and everything, so we can't all be brahmacharis. We cannot, we need, that is part of life, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So Krishna is telling this to Arjuna, by the way. Arjuna was a grahastha. But the principles do apply to everyone. the principles do apply.
Yeah, I understand that lust can cause a lot of rapes and things like that.
Yeah.
So it is, I never looked at it that way, but it's very, very different way of looking.
Yeah. So the point is, I mean, whether brahmacharis or whether grahasthas, lust is lust only. It's going to act in the same way. Again, fire, to different people does it act differently. The nature is going to remain the same only. The nature is going to remain the same. So you have to know how to deal with it. Right? So if you can channelize it well, definitely as grahasthas there is a certain license for restricted enjoyment, but it has to be in certain boundaries. It has to be in certain boundaries. That's the whole idea. Otherwise, there is no limit to how you can get carried away. Yes. Separate from God.
But in today's world, when we talk about lust, like what you are explaining,
Yeah.
lust is in terms of human relationships, correct?
Yeah. So generally, the understanding of lust is, between man and woman, over enjoyment like that.
But desire can be of anything.
Exactly. So that's the point. So the scriptures doesn't explain lust only. Definitely, the major attraction is the opposite sex only. That's how lust majorly roots itself. But that's just one root of lust, the major root of lust. But lust can take any form. You can have lust for gold. That's how we use this language, even in common language. The lust for gold, the lust for enjoyment, the lust for power. These are all lust. This is all lust. Basically, lust means where you want to enjoy at the cost of others, at others' resources. You see only you. That's what lust is.
Where the attraction is greater than the individual. A lust where the attraction is so strong, it overcomes yourself.
Exactly.
It could be for anything.
Yeah. It makes sense to you? Any other questions? Any other thoughts? You have in our Vedic scriptures, I was telling you the story of Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. You all know how they were born. I'll tell you the story. Very interesting story. So, Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha, they were two demons. Their father was Kashyap Muni, a great rishi, and his wife Diti. So Diti, to enjoy, she goes and tells Kashyap Muni, let us enjoy. Kashyap Muni tells Diti, this is a wrong time. This is evening time. This is not a right time. This is the time when Shivji and along with his followers move around. This is not in Vedic system, there's a time for everything. Everything is calculated in terms of what is auspicious, what is inauspicious. So Kashyap Muni is a great sage. He tells this is a wrong time. If we unite at this time, the result is going to be havoc. But Diti is so much overpowered by lust, she says, I don't care. I just want to enjoy at this point. So they unite, and the result of that is these two demons are born. Hiranyakashipu, Hiranyaksha. So the point is, when we give in to lust, the enjoyment may be for a moment, but the suffering is like for a very long time. Okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.